Welcome to the Farmer Show, where we talk about everyday life and give advice. Any advice we give is based on opinions, not facts. I'm your host, Lovey.
And I'm your host, Z. Our Instagram is thefarmers_show.
That's THEFARMERS_SHOW.
Make sure y'all follow us there and show us some love. And today's topic is adulting versus being a kid.
But before we get into it, we hope from wherever you're listening from, you having a fantabulous day.
Facts. So let's get into it, baby. Adulting versus being a kid.
I feel like overall, just the concept of like adulting, being a kid, and just everything we went through and just putting it all together. I just feel like everything we went through as a kid was basically to prepare us for like an exam. But the exam was adulting.
Oh.
And basically, if you think about it in life, as far as like, adulting and comparing it to a test, what do we do when we don't know the answers? We ask for advice or ask someone for the answers. Or research it or Google what should we do as an adult or how to solve this problem. Some people are just getting a free pass and don't really have to worry about too much. Or some people do like most of us do when we're taking a test and we don't know what to do. We guess. I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Like just kind of guessing a little bit when it comes to being an adult. How do you feel?
Yeah, so, well, first off, there's a lot of things I didn't appreciate as a kid that I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Like water, for instance. When we was a kid, we never really drank water like that.
No.
I used to like drink juice, sodas, little stuff like that. But, water, food. Our parents always try to make us eat our vegetables and stuff like that. And, we didn't want to. But now it's like, okay, vegetables is important. Any kind of food is important right now.
Like our bodies can't function without these things.
Right.
And it's crazy because I actually was realizing, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was realizing that today. I was just watching like TV with you and I was just like, man, like we really need food to live. We really need water to live.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right. And another thing is having no responsibilities. As a kid, you didn't have to worry about much. The only thing you probably worried about is school and, what's going on inside of school. Maybe, family and life and stuff like that. But It wasn't nowhere near being an adult.
How do you feel about that in regards to like mental health though? Because although being a kid, we were told that, a lot to like suck it up, whenever we were like going through an issue, or it felt like zero responsibility equals zero stress, as you shouldn't have any stress. But we did worry about a lot of things as children, like our image, body image, making our parents proud, just trying to get the best grades in school. I mean, some people didn't care about school at all, but it didn't mean that you didn't have that responsibility of going.
Yeah.
How do you feel like coping in regards to going through all of that growing up? Like, how do you feel like we coped far as with stress? Do you feel like you cope better with stress as a child, or do you feel like you cope better with stress as an adult?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's kind of up in the air because I feel like as a kid, I didn't know that I was stressing or depressed or any kind of,
Right.
I didn't really understand my feelings. So I would kind of like just push it aside or, listen to my music or, do different stuff like that.
Right.
But as an adult, you realize it more that you're depressed or, you're coping with something.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like maybe it was a little bit easier as a kid because you can choose to deal with, choose not to deal with it. As an adult, you have to deal with it. Not necessarily have to, but, you don't really have a choice sometimes. So,
like, it's now your responsibility as an adult versus, like, putting it on your parents and it's up to them to make you feel better.
Right.
That's a good answer.
And just like, with even down to, like, spending money, like, as a kid, we just blew through money because we're like, oh, it'll come.
Yeah, no, seriously.
It'll come back. My mom got it. I can just ask her. But now it's like, Okay, look. We're going to have to figure
We gotta, me and my wallet having a conversation, and it's talking back to me because there's nothing in it, you know?
For real. Like, I feel like as a kid, it was so much easier to, like, deal with stuff and not worry about stuff than it is as a child. Because, like you said, you know, it was not necessarily our parents' responsibilities, but a lot of times we, you know, not put our problems and stuff on our parents.
We rely heavily on them.
Right,
though.
right.
Yeah.
And now that we're an adult, it's like, okay, you're on your own now, you know, so now you got to deal with these problems and stuff by yourself, especially as a young adult.
I feel like that has a lot to do with like hope. When you're a young child, you have watched all of these cartoons, all of these movies, and no matter what the moral of the story is, it's mostly just about having that hope and always believing that something can be. And I feel like our parents were the main person or main people we would go to for that, to look for that hope, or they would tell us like what is possible, what isn't possible. Now that you're an adult, it's like we have to be our own dream killers half the time, where it's like, yeah, you might want to go here, yeah, you might want to go to Italy, but you can't do it right now. That's just not gonna happen for you at this point in time, and we have to sometimes disappoint ourselves. And that's a lot to come to terms with that, because it's like growing up, you can blame so many people for why your life is the way it is. But now it's up to us. Like our dreams are up to us. Our wants are up to us. Our needs are up to us. Our morals are completely up to us. Like we are truly the adults now. And I don't know how this world is finna go.
Like you were saying too, like, you know, about us, we kind of like looked up to our parents and, you know, basically thought that our parents was always right. And then, not saying that it was kind of disappointing, but like kind of heartbreaking, like, oh wait, you're not always right. You know, you don't know some of this stuff, like I don't know some of this stuff. So now it's like, you know, as you get older, you start to realize that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's another crazy thing that's like, oh my God.
It make you relive a lot of stuff and rethink a lot of stuff. Because
like, did you lie about this? Did you really not know about it?
Like, you could have told me these things, and a lot of things are like, you know, you understand when you get older.
Yeah.
But I feel like our parents should have gave us more credit as children, as being a kid, because there's some things I could have handled that they could have told me. I wish they would have told me prior to me getting to where I'm at. And sometimes they never even tell you. You just have to figure it out. Right.
Or either they'll just be like, because I said so. You know, and it's like, you know, you should explain to your kids why. You know, I feel like you'll understand when you get older. Yes, that's a good, like, answer, but also, too, explain to them why when you get older you will understand this, you know, just in case, like, they might understand it when you actually, you know, tell them right then and there versus waiting all the way till they get older.
Give your kids more credit. If you build them up to be able to be the type of person that can take certain types of news or really get down to the truth of it, because I've seen it this day and time with the kids who are our age now as we were back then, and they're realizing certain things that I'm like, wow, you know this? Your parents let you know what the meaning of, like, life is, or what death truly is. Like,
I can't say too, like, so a lot of people don't really like when they tell their kids a little too much. Right. You get what I mean? Like, you know, some people be like, you know, well, why would you tell your kids this? You know, you should tell them, you know, like, okay, for instance, say like a person is going through financial issues or something like that, and they tell their kid, hey, you know, we're going through a bit of a hard time right now. We don't really have the money to do this and that and the third. You know, some people might frown upon it, like, you know, why are you telling your kids your business and stuff? It's not necessarily telling them your business, but it's getting them to understand, hey, this is why we can't do this. This is why we can't do that. So I feel like, you know, it's never too much that you can tell your child. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that's your child. So you can tell them what you want to tell them, you know. Like, personal things, I feel like maybe, you know, issue between you and your spouse, you may not, you know, shouldn't maybe tell them or something. You know, you should keep that between each other. But other stuff, like, you know, life, for say, you can be open with your kids about that.
I like that. And I actually like what you put when you said, like, how certain parents may gatekeep certain information from them. And that's because knowledge is truly power.
Yeah.
It really is. When you know more, have you not noticed like the tides or the turns have tabled, like with our parents and us, far as like what we are allowing, what we are controlling, because we know so much now.
Yeah.
And I feel like they know that.
Yeah.
They know that, even if they don't know it at the forefront of their mind, that, oh, I know that if I tell my child this, then they feel like they can do this now. It truly is just power. And
Right.
the less you tell your kids, the more power you can potentially have over them, because that's how it is in this world in general. Like,
and which is crazy. Like, I feel like as parents, you should tell your kids as much information as possible, you know, just so they won't be blindsided when they get into the real world, because the real world and being a kid is so much different. Like, you know, you thinking through your head, okay, I'm gonna move out, I'm gonna do this and the third. It don't always go that way. You know, sometimes people get lucky, but a lot of times other little humps and bumps, you know, occur while you know, trying to get your life together and stuff like that. You know, you might have a baby, you might, you know, lose a job or something like that. It's not always a straight road.
I feel like it's because some parents, not all, some parents don't think about your future by yourself.
Yeah.
They think about your future with them.
Them in it. Yeah.
With them in it. So they're always like, you know what, I'm always going to be here to tell you this, to let you know this. So you're not going to necessarily need to know your own. So they're not preparing for an empty nest.
Right.
At all. They're preparing to maybe you have your own nest, but they're right next door to
right,
you.
Yeah.
So,
and like I said, you never know what could happen, you know. So I feel like parents should, and like gatekeeping some, you know, personal things, okay, yes, I understand, but you know, as far as stuff dealing with life and how life is, how, you know, the world view us or view, you know, your kids or something like that, I feel like parents should be more open to telling their kids and, you know, teaching them more about life, credit score, and, you know, buying their first house. And so we don't hear that a lot from, you know, parents. Not every parent, not every household, but a lot of times in Black households, you know, our parents don't really talk about, you know, getting a better credit score or buying your first house and stuff like that. My mom, she actually did, you know, teach me some things about credit, but I found easier ways to go about it, you know, as I got older, and, you know, more ways that can benefit it more, you know.
Yeah, and not stressing so much about it. There's a big misconception of credit in the Black community. Yeah, it really is in Black households.
Because a lot of times, you know, everybody credit ain't perfect, you know, but it's a way around it. You know, if you had the money for it, you don't have to worry about it, you know. So
I agree. And that just brings my next point, parents or just adults in general. I feel like if there is a piece of advice that you have gotten or some knowledge that you have gotten that has saved your life or truly have saved you from making like a big mistake, share it. Share it with the kids. Yeah. That's how I feel. Share it with them, because they live in this world too. You don't have to be explicit about every single little thing, but tell them the gist of it, just to help them out. But also don't try to control them, because there's nothing worse than controlling your kids. It will put them further away. There's a difference between controlling and then also protecting. And I hate that this is turning into like a parents versus kids thing, but I mean, we truly are the adults. Even if you don't have any kids, you have an influence in like your niece's life or nephew's life or baby cousin's lives. There's going to be a time where you are alone with them or in a situation where you're going to have to tell them something, you know?
And just having that, you know, understanding, and, you know, as a child, some things, you know, as a child you don't understand, but, you know, you will always remember. So maybe you'll go back to that time and be like, oh, that's what she meant, you know, by that and stuff. Like, you know, just like when my mama used to say, we don't have no McDonald's money, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm like, what you mean? You know, like, break it down more. Like, I mean, that was flat out straight to the point. We don't have no McDonald's money, you know? But sometimes it's like, if I was to come out and be like, well, why we don't never have any McDonald's money, you know? And then the parents might get upset and stuff.
Right.
That's not something to necessarily get upset with, because kids a lot of time question everything. Every single
Yes.
thing they would question. So I feel like as a parent, you have to be patient and just be willing to talk to your kid like, hey, we don't have any money like that because I had to pay this bill, you know, for you to be able to drink water or, you know, use the bathroom, this, that, and the third. You know, explain it a little further so it won't be just because I said so or because I don't have the money to. And, you know, explain it a little further. That'll give kids more, like, understanding and, you know, get them, like, willing to be more open to you, too.
You get that positive respect from them when you give the respect to let them know the real.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of parents are operating off of, or adults are operating off of this negative respect that they get just from gatekeeping information.
Yeah.
Or I'm the authority. So it's like not the respect that you want. It's more so fear.
Yeah.
I feel like as being a kid, I didn't understand a lot about relationships at all in the beginning, like the dynamic. Have you noticed how you'll be a kid and then like next you know there's a family member that's not around anymore?
Oh yeah.
And they didn't die, they're just not around and nobody wants to tell you the real about it.
They'll
you just have to
lie
wonder
and cover up little different stuff. And you know it's okay to sit down and, you know, talk to your kids. Hey, Uncle Joe is not dating Aunt Susan no more because
I knew it was gonna be an S name.
I know I couldn't think of any.
Sally.
I couldn't even think of any. But yeah, just explain to them, you know, they're not dating each other no more, so she wouldn't be, you know, at the family reunions or the cookouts and stuff like that anymore. You know,
it's not that she doesn't love you,
right,
you know.
And that's another thing too, like, I understand, you know, within the family and somebody break up with somebody, they kind of cut off from the family to a certain extent. You know, if that person be in that family for a very long time, sometimes it's hard to just say, okay, forget you, I ain't worried about you no more, you know?
It is, because it's like, if that person isn't adding toxicity to the family,
right?
And they're bringing out the best in the family, or just adults in general, outside of just family, friends, co-workers. If this person isn't bringing negativity into your life, it's gonna be really hard to try to justify cutting them out. And that's another part of adulting, is trying to figure out who to keep in your life and who to take out and who to revisit again.
Right.
You know?
I feel like as kids, we didn't understand like why necessarily certain people shouldn't be in our life, and you know, like we think as kids, okay, they're fun to be around, but they get you in trouble when they're, you know, when you around them and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, just breaking stuff down to kids where they will understand it more, that will help when they become an adult. Because then, you know, as an adult, you don't have to figure out, okay, do I need you in my life? And be like, okay, you just, sometimes, you know, not even saying that, you know, sometimes you can figure it out like that as an adult, but it'll help more as an adult being, you know, taught that as a kid. You can just sit down and be like, okay, so you're fun to be around, but you don't do this, that, and the third. So, you know, I'm gonna maybe keep you right here, you know, or, you know, learn how to maneuver around different, like, people and stuff like that.
Yeah, because, I mean, I feel like as a child, being a kid, you can afford to live blissfully.
Right.
Which you don't have to face any type of reality. Everything is as to you as you want it to be. Like, imaginations can play real heavy as being a kid. You can be like, you know what? Like you said, like, I'm cool with this person. They make me laugh. You're not going to be thinking about the fact that they push you down every so often.
Right.
Because then when you become an adult, you can't afford to live in bliss, because that can get you hurt.
Yeah.
That can get you hurt. You can lose your livelihood trying to live blissfully. You cannot afford to ignore the signs anymore. You truly can't. You truly cannot put up with certain things, because you know what it is.
Yeah.
We done been told so many times that, oh, this isn't real. That isn't real anymore. So you done gone through all of that, and slowly, like, your bliss bubble is just popped.
Yeah.
And then you grow up and you like, wait, I've been wanting to get to this point my whole life, and I hate it.
Yeah. And another thing you said about, you know, just not living life recklessly, but like, you know, when I was a kid and stuff like that, you know, we used to go to the store, me and my mom, and she'll tell me to put something back, you know. And I'll be like, why I gotta put it back? You know, because I said so. You know, explain why do I have to put it back?
Exactly.
Maybe you don't have the money for it. Like, just talking to somebody and saying, hey, you know, just explain it little things a little further will go a long way than just shutting them off and saying, because I said so, you know?
Like, what does that even do to the brain? I mean, it makes you accept whatever somebody tells you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, you try your best not to be gullible. You're going to be really green growing up if you're, you know, the adults around you don't keep it real. That is a part of adulting. It's just making sure that the kids that are in your life is just full of knowledge.
Yeah.
Full of knowledge.
I feel like too, like as a kid, I wasn't as stressed and depressed, you know, and I didn't have, you know, much of anxiety as a kid. I don't recall. Like maybe like if we had to like read something out loud in front of the class, you'll get nervous, but you know, it won't more so of how it is now. You know, like when you become an adult, it's like everything is like times 10 because you no longer have not necessarily the support and stuff, but now it's all on you and not, you know, mom and dad and stuff like that. It's all on you now. And, you know, being a kid, you didn't have to worry about paying bills. So, you know, you leave that light on and go do whatever you want. Like now we're turning every light off.
Yeah.
Shoot, some of the times you might even just light candles or get those little sticky lights from Amazon and turn it on.
See, I'm down. I also feel like, you know, just being an adult, like being an adult and adulting, and just, it's still not as that different from being a kid a little bit.
Yeah. Because
you essentially can't fully control I mean, you can control your life.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that you just can't do, like far as our schedule. Going to school, what was it? It was like 7 to 3.
That's another thing. Like, as kids, school kind of prepared us for like real life a little bit. Like, as far as like getting up, going to work every single day and having like, you know, a holiday or the weekend off and stuff like that. You know, it's still kind of the same as far as that. Like, you know, we thinking as kids, man, I'm ready to graduate, so I don't have to, you know, wake up early and do this. No, that's not the case. You still gonna have to wake up early. Yeah. You know, it's not going to school, but it's still doing some type of work. And sometimes, you know, they can get frustrating because it's like, this is like a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, I'll do you one better as a description. As a kid, just going to school, waking up early, catching a bus, cleaning up, sometimes cooking, prepared us for going through just the motions of being an adult. Just emotions. You might not have the knowledge on how to implement certain things, but you definitely know the motions. Such as, like you said, waking up early, doing now a 9 to 5 instead of a 7 to 3. Still, you have your weekends, and then, you know, you still have to now let yourself know that, okay, this is a work night. Now I have to go to bed early, or I have to get permission from my boss to be able to go do this. Right. It's just still someone to answer to. It's just you have a little bit more
at a different level.
At a different level, yes.
And you get money for it this time instead of, you know, knowledge. But I mean, you know, every job is different and stuff.
Every job is different.
But yeah, like adulting, you know, you have to pay bills, you know, you have to go to work and do stuff you don't like just to make like ends meet. You know, I didn't really, like as a kid, I didn't have to do anything. Well, not do anything, but I didn't have to do certain stuff I didn't want to, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you could still, you know, do what you want as an adult. But, you know, sometimes you don't have a choice.
No, I definitely get it. And it's just coming to grips with that.
Yeah.
And realizing that it's truly all on you.
Yeah.
But in the sense you still have to answer to somebody.
Yeah.
That
is crazy.
Probably is worse than being a child, because like as an adult, being an adult and adulting, you are buying your life.
Basically, yeah.
You are buying your life. When you're a child, your life is bought for you.
As an adult, I feel like you have more freedom, you know, but like, you know, when we was kids and stuff like that, we're like, oh, I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to do that. You know, we can do those stuff now, but it still feel like a little bit trapped, for say, not
Yeah.
trapped, but you know, it's not all like it, you know, seems like on those movies and
It comes
TV
with
shows.
consequences now.
Right,
It's
right.
with consequences now. Like now I can't just be like, oh my God, as a kid, I'm like, I want to eat a bowl of ice cream and all of this and stay up late. I eat a bunch of ice cream. I stay up late. I'm going to be sleepy, late for work. And I'm going to be on the toilet. Yeah, and on the toilet blowing it up. It's just like all the things we want. And it's some things we want to do as a child, we still haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
We still haven't done it yet because we like either can't do it due to financial situations or those things just aren't around anymore.
Well,
So
we're not interested in it anymore.
yeah,
or
not
something
even
like that.
interested in it. So
And
that's
then as
difficult.
kids, you know, you have that wild imagination, like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then when you get older, it's like, I don't really want to do it
I don't
anymore.
really, I don't really want to have a McDonald's in my house.
For real. Okay, if you could choose to get rid of one thing as an adult, what would it be?
Bills.
Yeah, I agree.
Bills would go. Like, I mean, everybody would just like trade or will make more than enough that if you want something, you go and get it, and nobody just don't be greedy. Just don't
Yeah.
be greedy, and life would be so simple.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, life can be so simple, but it's always that person that want more or want to be greedy and stuff. I'm just like, if you just live and just have...
the planktons, the Mojo Jojos of the universe, like, please stop it, so us Powerpuff Girls can live our best life.
For real. What advice would you give to kids?
To kids, I would tell them to run the other way. Don't do it. No, stop. No, I would say to prepare.
Yeah.
Prepare. That is the time to read all the books, to just ask questions. Don't ever let anyone make you feel guilty for wanting to know more
Yeah.
about a situation, because it's necessary, to parents or adults.
And don't stop preparing either.
Don't
Like,
ever
yeah.
stop preparing.
You always got to prepare. Even when you're an adult, you still have to prepare. Because you never know what life will throw at you.
Yes. Oh my God, y'all. Life, one time, I ain't even gonna tell you what it threw at my face, but it was musty. Let me stop. But, read all the books, take certifications. When you are at the age where you can get certified in something, go and do it.
Yeah, it's always nice to have any and everything. Like, you don't need a degree, to be successful and stuff like that. But it's always nice to have different stuff under your belt.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's basically just saying, hey, I did and completed this. Nobody can take your knowledge away from you.
Yes. That truly is power.
Yeah. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge really is power. And I would say do it now, because trying to prepare while adulting is
hard.
Difficult.
Yeah.
It's definitely incredibly difficult. Babe, so what is one perk? Like, far as being an adult, what is one perk about it?
One perk about being an adult is, it's like...
It's so hard.
Yeah, it's like... I would say being an adult, like, you don't have to answer to nobody if you don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
Like, it took me a minute to, like, be like, okay, I'm an adult. I don't have to do this if I don't want to, I always kind of felt like, hey, Mom, should I do this, But as you get older and stuff, you realize, look, you can do whatever you want. Just make smart choices, smart decisions and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I would say, not being able, well, not being able, but, not having to answer to somebody.
Yeah. If you don't want to.
Yeah.
Now, certain circumstances, such as working a job or certain stuff like that, you are going to have to answer to somebody, but that is still a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to be your own boss and answer to yourself.
Right. Nice save.
Yeah.
If there's anything you want us to talk about or need advice, hit us up on IG at thefarmers_show.
And we're out.
Bye, y'all.